Alright guys, it is a very busy time in the Championship right now. We're at the end of a 3-game week. We've got 12 more matches to preview in today's video, obviously. All of the midweek games to discuss throughout the video as well. In terms of my own score predictions in midweek, we had a pretty decent one. I got 3 results correct and 3 bang-on scorelines. So a 50% success ratio there with guessing the outcomes of matches. I don't think is too bad given how unpredictable the league has been this season. Let's try and keep that up today. Without any further ado, let's jump in. So starting out on Friday night at the Kazam for Oxford up against Ipswich. Oxford did rescue a late point in midweek away at Norwich, but despite that late equaliser, they have sunk into the bottom 3 because of results elsewhere, and the overall form book still isn't looking brilliant for them. Only 1 win in their last 7, and that came against a depleted Sheffield Wednesday side. Now, Oxford have been the sort of team so far this season that have picked up points when maybe you least expect them to, and it would be typical of them to get something from this match. Let's not forget, at home so far this season, Oxford have taken points against the likes of Coventry, Leicester, Millwall, Derby, Middlesbrough. So a lot of the teams in the top half of the table, Oxford have seemed to fare alright against. But in saying that, they're going up against an Ipswich side who just have so much more going for them in the final third at the moment. Still a bit of a question mark over Ipswich and their consistency. They've only won back-to-back matches twice so far this season, but they've got the opportunity to make that 3 times if they win over the weekend, following up a good win away at Hull in midweek. And dare I say it, I think Ipswich probably looked a little bit better and fluid on the road lately than they have been at Portman Road. So the fact that this game's away from home maybe suits them a little bit. Ipswich into the top 6. I think it's hard to look past a Tractor Boys win in this game. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-0 Ipswich on the road in that one. Next up to the King Power for Leicester up against Sheffield United. Leicester coming off the back of a 3-0 defeat away at Southampton in midweek. Leicester had a bit of a bounce in results prior to that game, but I was fancying a Southampton win in midweek. Just thought that even in the games that Leicester have won recently, there's still been a little bit of vulnerability there for me. Obviously, the man sent off in midweek didn't help, but by that point they were already 2 goals down, and Southampton were the deserved winners. Going up against the Sheff United side, who have definitely found a little bit of form recently. They made it back-to-back wins with a 3-0 win over Portsmouth in midweek, obviously. They were helped with Pompey having the man sent off, but prior to that red card, it was Sheff United who looked like the better side anyway. Patrick Bamford getting off the mark, I think, is big for them. Gus Hamer returning from injury as well, also absolutely massive, and him returning with a goal from the bench as well. Leicester, I think they're going to have to react from midweek. So far this season, they have been quite draw-heavy. They've drawn 50% of their home matches, more than any other side in the Championship this season. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe this one finishes level. Score prediction, I'll go for a 1-1 between those two. Next up to Fratton Park for Portsmouth up against Bristol City. Neither side in particularly great form right now, both with only 1 win in their last 5 and both coming off the back of defeats in midweek. Portsmouth, we thought, might have turned a bit of a corner after that win last weekend against Millwall, but couldn't follow it up in midweek, losing 3-0 away at Sheff United. Obviously, the red card and penalty going against them right at the end of that first half, a big decisive moment of that match. But like we mentioned before, prior to that red card, it did look like Sheff United who were the team in the ascendancy in that match. Going up against the Bristol City side, who themselves put in a bit of an under-par performance in midweek away at Wrexham, losing that game 2-0. They were coming off the back of a fantastic result and performance over the weekend, beating Swansea 3-0. But once again, the wider form book for Bristol City has seen a bit of a tail off, obviously. It looked like Struber made a few changes in midweek. That's inevitable with how many games are coming up thick and fast in the Championship at the moment. Honestly, right now, I'm struggling to separate these two. My gut instinct says that maybe there's something in this one for Bristol City. I think that Bristol City at their best this season are fully capable of winning this match. It's just a question of which version of them shows up. Score prediction, why not? I'll go for a 2-1 Bristol City win on the road. Wouldn't be surprised if that finishes level, but yeah, one of those I could see going either way. Next then to Stoke up against Hull City. Just what Stoke were in need of in midweek. A brilliant way to bounce back from that defeat over the weekend away at Leicester, with all 3 points and a pretty convincing performance against Charlton, putting 3 goals past them. And you know what? I probably fancy Stoke to score a few goals in this game as well. Potentially a good time to be playing Hull right now, who are coming off the back of back-to-back losses. I still think Hull could be good for a goal or two themselves in this game. No, they failed to score in midweek at home against Ipswich, but even in that game they had chances. Once again though, it's just at the opposite end of the pitch where Hull have been letting themselves down this season. With how much they've struggled to defend balls into the box this season, I just think that a side like Stoke, when their tails are really up, they could find a lot of joy out of this match. With someone like Sorba Thomas swinging the balls in, the dynamic options that they've got out wide. Recently at home for Stoke, we've seen them putting 3 goals past Charlton, 5 past Bristol City. I feel like it could be another one of those afternoons if Hull aren't careful here. Score prediction, I'm going to go 3-1 Stoke in that game. Next then to Coventry up against Charlton, and I mean, what can we say about this game? It's Coventry, the league's top scorers, who have managed to bag 47 goals in their opening 17 matches, going up against a Charlton side who have absolutely collapsed defensively recently. They've conceded 8 goals now over their last 2 games. Another pretty heavy defeat away in midweek against Stoke for Nathan Jones' side. This just isn't the game that you want to be going into with that sort of form, is it? Now, Coventry definitely didn't have it all their own way in midweek away at Middlesbrough, but the sheer volume of goals they're scoring at the moment, in order to beat this Coventry side, you need to be putting 3 or 4 goals past them, and I just don't see Charlton offering that goal threat in this sort of match. Now, it would be absolutely typical of the Championship for Charlton to be in the form they are at the moment, Coventry looking like the league's runaway leaders, scoring goals for fun every week, and this game ends 1-0 Charlton or something like that, and it's an absolute Nathan Jones masterclass. I'm just not sure, 1, I'm brave enough to predict something like that, or 2, I realistically see it happening. Coventry scoring goals for fun at the moment. I'm going to back them for a 4-0 win in this game. Could be more than that. Let's wait and see. Next up to the Riverside for Middlesbrough up against Derby. This will be Kim Hellberg's first official match in charge of Borough. It was still Adi Vivesh who was taking charge of that game in midweek against Coventry, where I thought Borough offered quite a bit going forward in that game. It was just at the opposite end of the pitch where you can't afford to let yourself make any mistakes or have any lapses against that Coventry side. And this game won't be easy either against a Derby side who have now won 6 of their last 7 Championship matches. I think we can chalk that game down that Derby had over the weekend against Watford as a bit of a one-off when they threw away that 2-goal lead. Back to usual in midweek with a 2-1 win away at Swansea. And you know what? I don't think there'll be a great deal in this game either. Middlesbrough will be hoping that they get a bit of a new manager bounce over these next few weeks with Hellberg coming in, but it could potentially be a bit of a slow process as the players learn a bit of a new system and transition away from the Edwards era. I think I'm feeling a draw between these two this weekend. Score prediction, I'll go for a 1-1, but that one very much could go either way. I'll say 1-1 for that one though. Next then to the Den for Millwall up against Southampton. A good win for Millwall in midweek. They had to work for it, but 1-0 against Sheffield Wednesday. Great to see Femi Aziz back in the side as well and scoring on his return. Now means he's got 6 goal contributions in his last 6 appearances in the Championship for Millwall. Boy, have they missed him recently, and the overall goal presence that he brings to that side. But in saying that, if there's one team you don't really want to be playing right now in the Championship, that team is Southampton, who have been absolutely flying up the league. Another brilliant performance in midweek against Leicester, putting 3 goals past them. It now means that Southampton, over their last 4 league matches, have been averaging over 3 goals per game. And this is another one of those games where I could see it going either way, because Millwall have been quite good value at the Den recently. They're 5 unbeaten at home. But on the other hand, they've still got quite a few injuries, and when your squad is looking a little bit thin, the end of these 3-game weeks can be a little bit brutal. To try and keep up that same intensity is tough against the Southampton side, who have looked quite cut through recently with some of their intricate play and how tidy on the ball they've looked in recent weeks. Gut feeling for this one says that I think Southampton maybe add another win to this prolific streak. I'm going to go 2-1 Southampton in that game. Tough to back against Millwall at home. It's just hard to look past the Saints right now. Next then we go to Carrow Road for Norwich up against Queen's Park Rangers. An improved performance from Norwich in midweek, probably the best they played at home all season, but ultimately still failing to win, and that last-minute equaliser from Oxford would have felt like an absolute dagger to the Norwich fans. Clement, who's just come in as their new boss as well, and still quite a bit of disharmony there. There was the bizarre moment with Jurasek being subbed on and subbed off that's caught a lot of traction, and ultimately defensively Norwich is still just too gettable at the moment. Going up against the QPR side, who have definitely picked up in form in recent weeks as well. They've made it back-to-back wins with a good win away at Blackburn, 1-0 in that game. QPR are bringing a goal threat into every game they're going into at the moment, and probably most crucially is just how much they've improved defensively on the road of late. Since conceding 7 goals away at Coventry, QPR have only conceded 4 goals in their last 7 away matches, which is some record. This, I think, just screams of Norwich having 3 or 4 gilt-edged chances and fluffing their lines, and QPR taking their moments when they come forward. Chairs look really lively, cutting in from the left-hand side recently. Wouldn't be surprised if he conjures up something, maybe for Burrell to finish in this game. Score prediction, I'm going to go 1-0 QPR in that game. I know we saw an improvement from Norwich in midweek. I just think that all the fundamentals aren't quite there yet, though. Next up to Hillsborough for Sheffield Wednesday up against Preston. To be fair, I did think we got an improved performance from North End in midweek. Snatched a point away at Watford. That game could have gone either way, to be honest with you, but given all the injuries that North End have got at the moment, I would have absolutely taken that going into that game. Hopefully, we've not got even more injury news coming out of that one. Daniel Jebison, who did score in that game, did come off with a knock, and we will be looking really like going into the weekend if he's ruled out, obviously, with Osmajic still serving his lengthy ban at the moment. Goals, I think, could be at a premium in this sort of match. Wednesday, who haven't exactly been hitting the back of the net on a regular this season. They're now 11 games without a win after losing away at Millwall in midweek. They made Millwall work for that game, and I think Preston will need to work for this one as well. Typically, these are the sorts of games where North End have come unstuck in recent years, where the onus will be on us to break Sheff Wednesday down. The good news for North End is that Ben Whiteman will be back in contention for this game. And we are slowly starting to get a few players back from injury. Poll was back in midweek, which was nice to see. Jordan Thompson getting his first minutes in a North End shirt as well, and I thought he looked pretty solid considering he's not played in quite some time. Score prediction in this one, I think it will be low scoring. I'm going to say that North End will just nick it though. 1-0 going in favour of North End in that one. Next then to the Hawthorns for a big game between West Brom and Swansea. West Brom showing a few signs of life in midweek, picking up a point against Birmingham, which on the surface I don't think is a bad result, but you zoom out on the wider form book, West Brom are currently sat 17th in the Championship, and that just cannot happen for much longer. And I think it does put pressure on this game as a bit of a must-win for West Brom. They're going up against one of the most out-of-form teams in the Championship right now in Swansea City, who have just hired Vitor Matos. He was in charge in midweek for their loss against Derby, where Swansea had plenty of the ball in that game but couldn't really translate it into consistent chances. Losing 2-1 means that they're currently only 2 points above the relegation zone, and the wider form book has been absolutely dreadful for Swansea recently. Since the start of November, no Championship club has picked up fewer points than Swansea. They're struggling to score goals right now, and I think that after midweek, Matos will have realised the scale of the task on his hands at Swansea here, who right now are looking like prime candidates for relegation. Score prediction for me in this game, I think West Brom will just about squeeze it. At home this season, all of their games have been fairly low scoring, but West Brom have only lost once at the Hawthorns. I think they just get the better of Swansea here. Score prediction, I'm going to go 1-0 West Brom for that game. After that, we go to the racecourse for Wrexham up against Blackburn. Blackburn have been such a tough side to put your finger on recently. Away from home, they've been pretty prolific in picking up points. They've won their last 3 away matches, but at Ewood Park, they've just not had that same thing clicking for them. It was a defeat for them in midweek, 1-0 against QPR in quite a tight and marginal match. I'm really not sure which version of Blackburn will show up for this game. Obviously, they're working with quite a few injuries right now. The same for Wrexham, but they've started to get a few players back recently. Kiefer Moore was back in action in midweek, which was good to see. And Wrexham are one of the form teams in the league right now. 7 unbeaten. That's a longer unbeaten streak than anyone else in the Championship right now. Defensively, they have to be commended as well. Having kept 4 consecutive clean sheets in their last 4 league matches, that's no easy feat in a league like the Championship, especially where Wrexham were and their defensive line a few months ago. They've come on leaps and bounds since then. Blackburn always do me over when I'm back against them away from home, but I'm fancying a Wrexham winning this one. With the form they're on, the lack of goals they're conceding at the moment, 2-0 Wrexham, I'm going in that game, which inevitably means Blackburn probably win this one 1-0 or something. And then to finish off this round of fixtures, on Monday night, we're going to St Andrews for Birmingham up against Watford. Birmingham had to settle for a point in midweek away at West Brom, but we'll be pleased that they're back at St Andrews for this game, where they've been scoring goals for fun recently. Up against a Watford side, who I obviously watched quite closely in midweek as they were playing my team North End. I thought it was A bit of a mixed performance from Watford really. First half I thought they were a little bit passive. Obviously North End got into the lead thanks to a nice strike from Dan Jebison, which he certainly enjoyed. Watford got back into it just before half time, and then as the game went on, I thought Watford got a little bit better. Like towards the end of it, if one team was going to go on and score the winner, looked more likely that was going to be Watford than Preston, to be honest with you. Was a bit of a rare off night from Imran Loser though, who didn't quite have that same magic in his boots that he's tended to all season. This is an interesting matchup though, because Birmingham have been in absolutely brilliant form at home recently. Generally speaking, Watford have struggled to pick up points away from home, but last time out on the road, they had that dramatic late comeback away at Derby. On the balance of probabilities, I just think I'm favouring Birmingham for this one with all the firepower they've got at the moment. Score prediction in that game, think it could be close. Going to go 2-1 Birmingham though. But there you guys have it. That will wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you think you're going to enjoy, make sure to drop a like and get all your score predictions in the comments down below. Apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.